In this video I'm gonna explain you CINE EI in a few simple steps and examples. When I started learning CINE EI, I came across a few tutorials, but they were quite complicated and frustrating. So I decided to make my own video, explaining it to you step by step in a very simple way. So let's compare the normal and the CINE EI workflow and see which problem exposure index is solving. First, we're gonna look at a normal exposed interview setup at 800 ISO. The image looks fine, but if you look closer, you realize heavy noise in the shadows. This happens because we underexposed log in certain areas and don't have enough information to work with. To solve the problem, we can now talk about CINE EI workflow, and we're gonna start with the basics. So what is CINE EI? CINE EI is designed to give you more control over exposing your log image and get the best quality out of your camera. By filming with CINE EI, you can decide how many stops of your dynamic range you will give to your highlights or shadows. If you work with CINE EI, the camera will always record in native base ISO to give you the most dynamic range and the least amount of noise. However, cameras with dual native ISO can be switched between those two values to adapt to the environment. If you have the same EI value as your ISO, you're gonna have the same footage as you preview in your monitor, not over or underexposed. Hey guys, real quick, I put a lot of time and effort into my videos to give you the best quality you can learn with. So if you like my content and wanna support me, feel free to subscribe. I have my personal goal to reach 1000 subscribers. Thank you, and let's continue. Let's go now through the CINE EI workflow. In this example, I'm gonna show you the monitor preview and the recorded footage so you can understand the workflow step by step. In this image we have a lot of shadows. To get them clean, we need more information in our footage, so we can give more dynamic stops to our shadows by lowering the EI. By lowering your exposure index, you only change the monitor preview exposure. As a result, the image appears too dark, so you correct it with your lightning and defilter or f-stop. And as you can see, we now have a lot of information in our shadows. But you have to pull down the exposure in your color grading process. This will give you the same image like with the normal workflow, but with the best quality and the least amount of noise. As you can see, CINE EI only affects your monitor exposure, so you can overexpose your footage and compensate with CINE EI and have a normal preview while you're working on set. CINE EI can be set in a ±2 stops range relative to your base ISO. However, Sony does not recommend using a higher exposure index than your base ISO. By doing that, you would underexpose your log footage, ending up with a lot of noise in your footage. So if you're filming a scene with a lot of highlights, I would recommend you to use the same exposure index as your ISO, so you will have enough information in your highlights and in your shadows. But if you're filming a setup with a lot of shadows, I would highly recommend you bring down your exposure index, so you have way more information in your shadows and a way cleaner image. As you can see, working with CINE EI involves more work, but you will end up with way better footage than in a normal workflow. And I highly recommend you to make some test shots and experiment with your footage before you're using it on a client job. Oh god, this video took me a while. This is a very complex and technical topic, but since you understand it, it's very easy. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to learn more with me, subscribe to my channel. I maybe will see you. Okay, it's enough for today. See you in the next one. Oh, God.